Hey, it's Joe Amoia, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. And today I want to talk about a subject that is so prevalent in the GPS for Love community. And that is how long you should wait for a guy to change. So imagine you're in a relationship where you're dating a guy and, there's some really good things about him. The chemistry is good. There are times where he really makes you feel good. But there are other times where he just drives you crazy, where he doesn't give you the things that you need in order for you to be happy and fulfilled. And so you have that internal battle. Should you stay or should you go? So what I want to do today is give you some parameters that will help you understand and how you can get to your truth relatively quickly. So here we go. So I believe that, this is one of those things that really depends on several factors. How long you've been, like if you've been married and you have kids, that's completely different than if you've just started dating. But I think at the end, it all comes down to the same thing. And that is, are you getting what you need in order for you to be happy and fulfilled in a relationship? So before we start, I want to let you know that a long time ago, I spent 3 years with a woman hoping that she would change. And she was telling me that she wanted to change. But no matter how hard she tried to change, the reality was she didn't. And the reality was I didn't get what I needed. So what I've learned in my journey is that people can change, but the reality is unless people want to change for themselves and they actually put in the work to change, most people aren't going to change. So I say it's kind of like this. It's kind of like running across the highway without looking. The reality is some people may get across, but most people are going to get smashed and get killed. So my philosophy is, especially if you're single, is simply find the person who doesn't have to change, who naturally gives you what you need in order for you to be happy. Now, I know some of you like, yeah, does he exist? Is there a creature like that out there? And I get that. That's simply your fear. That's simply the uncertainty of the possibility of it not happening. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you getting clear and really giving up the good to go for the great. And I'm living testament that if you do that, you can find that awesome rocking relationship with that person who is your true soulmate. So that being said, let's talk about if you are in a relationship with someone, you've already gone down that path and there are the feelings. There's some good, but there's also that bad, that part that drives you crazy. What do you do? Well, the good news for you is I got 3 criteria that will help you really recognize if you should stay or if you should go. Number 1, okay, and this is a big one. I'm big on action, and we're talking about consistent action. Is this guy consistently taking action to change? See, because a lot of times people tell you they want to change, okay? But remember, actions speak louder than words. So a guy can tell you he wants to change or he's going to do things different or better, but if he's not doing it and he's not doing it consistently, what he's telling you is that I really don't want to change. Okay? So you've got to pay attention to that. If a guy isn't consistently taking action to change, then he's showing you that he's probably not going to change. Now be aware, okay? I'm going to let you know, some guys will try in the beginning, okay? They'll put a little effort. They'll bring you flowers. They'll call when they usually don't call, okay? They'll do what they feel they need to, okay? Until they feel they've got you back, and then it's like a thermostat. They'll just revert back to their old behavior. So you got to be aware of this. Just because he's doing it in the beginning doesn't mean that he's going to do it consistently over time. So that's why you have to pay attention. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is you got to check your feelings. See, the cool thing about being human is the universe put this thing in us called feelings. And feelings are like these silent alarms. They let us know when we're on the right track and when we're on the wrong track. So one of the ways that you know if you should stay is if you consistently are feeling optimistic. You're starting to see changes. You're starting to see things getting better. And your gut and your instinct is saying, yeah, I think this is going to work. Now, you got to be careful because as human beings, when we've got feelings and there's chemistry, and especially if this guy's like a really great in bed and he lights you up, okay, we have a habit of BSing ourselves. You know what I mean? We'll make all the excuses and all the rationalizations that what we're seeing is really better than what's really going on. So the good news is I've got a 3rd tip for you that's going to help you see through that. And this is what I call the advice test. So imagine that your girlfriend or your sister or your best friend was in the same scenario. She was with a guy who said he wanted to change, but he really wasn't. Okay? What advice would you give her? See, the part of the challenge, one of the reasons you struggle is because your emotions are always involved. And in human beings, We're driven by our emotions. Everything we do because it meets some kind of emotional need. So when it comes to relationships, especially love, logic kind of goes out the window and we let our feelings and our emotions drive the bus. Well, the purpose of this little step is to take your emotions out of the equation. It's something I've used so often throughout my life, and it always helps me because when I'm struggling, my feelings want me to do one thing because I want what I want when I want it. But then I really look at it honestly and say, if this was my best friend and he was in this situation, what advice would I give him? It just gives me instant clarity. And more often than not, it's always the right thing to do. So one of the ways you can tell, the third step, is to simply get clear. Ask yourself, if this is somebody that I know, love, and trust, and they were asking me for advice, what advice would I give them? And so, again, this is one of those things, this is one of those challenging topics. If you're going to create a great relationship, you've got to do things a little different. The reality is most people settle and most people go to their graves with those mediocre, okay relationships at best, or those crappy relationships. And I'm here to say at GPS, we're all about creating a great relationship. And in order to create the great relationship, you've got to be willing to do things a little differently. Again, know I threw a lot at you. Probably going to want to go back and watch this over again. And more importantly, I want to ask this question. How do you determine if you should stay or if you should go? What are the criteria that you use that help you decide if you're continuing to invest in the right guy for the right reasons? As always, I want to hear from you. I want to know what's coming up for you. So all you need to do is simply post in the comments section down below. I'll see you next time. Much love.